back north for APL, and what a game to see it on. DPLUS Kia versus KINOTROPE Gaming, a top of the table clash midway through this stage. Winner of this is going to be very, very likely to finish in second place, you would imagine, behind CAG, barring, of course, other results that can still transpire. The loser of this, I don't think, is going to be too disappointed unless it's a really one-sided affair. DPLUS start defense. But Cafe these days, guys, is not as defender-sided as it used to be. Statistically, on a global scale, attack has certainly made headways on this map in recent times. It's just pushing closer and closer to that 50-50 kind of margin compared to the old days where at sometimes it was like a 70-30 split. It's definitely not like that anymore. As we head into the bans, it is going to be the Monty taken off the board, followed by the Grim, and along with that, the Mozzie and Castle as well banned away. DPLUS Kia will go Bar Cocktail. No, they'll switch it up. It's Reading Fireplace to begin on the opening round.
We've been informed as well that this is the first appearance of Cafe for this sub-region.
I just said that before.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry. My apologies. But I think it is a notable point that there's going to be very limited vision on this map within APL itself. Of course, there's going to be some ideas internationally, but also, given the maturity of the map, that I don't think it's going to play a huge role in this one. I think the biggest differentiating factor, and it was kind of the point I was making regarding DPLUS Kia and my expected strengths for them heading into best of threes, it's going to be adaptation and just being able to identify the playstyle and the strategies of the opposition fast enough, and then having just small tweaks and ways in which they can try to counter that. Not expecting anything dramatic or drastic, but it's probably going to come down to subtleties in this matchup. It's making the most of the small opportunities that will likely arise. And in terms of the bans as well, especially noting the Mozzie ban there from KINOTROPE, so probably looking to enable as much drone play as possible, and with the Dokkaebi available as well, you really open yourself up potentially here defensively and allowing KINOTROPE to dictate the tempo of the map a little faster than is typical on this style of map. Cafe is traditionally very slow going and quite the grind to get into the map, but KINOTROPE may look to try and amp it up here, and I mean the posture here over towards a direct hit reading is a little tantalizing at the moment. They're investigating it. I don't think they will commit. Candelas are in the hands of Aegator though, so they may consider it. Dokkaebi call to go out, Nate to follow, and Shield to play the front line.
Oh, Levy, I thought was going to actually get the kill on the player behind the blitz. Kout got the flash onto him, and they get the opening kill, and it's going to be a plant attempt as well from Gayu inside of Reading, many inside of Laundry, expecting the push, does get the headshot. Kout got another one though. Successful plant. That is so quick from KINOTROPE. And the follow through right now not working out for DPLUS Kia either. It's only falls. 1v3, KINOTROPE look like they're going to take the opening round in a very quick fashion, and certainly an early statement as well against the Brazilians. There's nothing really Falls can do to win this one. He does get the kill onto Aegator, but Gatarada is there for the swift trade. KINOTROPE, that is a fast start.
Yeah, they set the tone early, and this again is going to be already just one round in, a defining moment for DPLUS Kia in identifying that. And that's the easy part. Any half-decent team is going to identify that was a direct rush hit. It's more so the follow-up and then going forward, if that's something they need to be mindful of on other sites where there are direct routes. And certainly if and when they return to that objective, making sure that they're ready for it and maybe transition to a more trap-heavy composition, for instance, that can better deal with that. Maybe bring a mute into the blitz, for instance. Just small little adjustments like that, which will hopefully make it more challenging for KINOTROPE to replicate that success. Regardless, though, it was a nice, well-formulated attack there. The information gathering was really, really efficient at the start. Again, potentially that being aided by the Mozzie ban. And that's something as well to just continually monitor over this first half. If KINOTROPE are continually gaining really good information, not just on drones, which will be very, very positive, and it means that they're playing into that ban correctly, but even We saw the Docker in the last round, Snake this round as well. In combination, I think that's going to be quite a dangerous threat for DPLUS to deal with.
DPLUS, though, have got the experience and the capabilities to deal with it, but it's just a matter of if they do or they don't. And it's easier said than done. Right now, Nia's just kind of poking and prodding around this window in towards Lounge, but not really seeing a whole lot. They get it down below him, gets onto the rappel. Harada on the solid Snake. Naturally, KINOTROPE, a slower pacing round is on its way after what was a round I don't think you could have played any quicker in the opening. But a Cocktail, naturally a far slower pacing sight. Two Nitrocells available for DPLUS as Levy just kind of preps one potentially for the White Stairs window.
Barrier is activated.
Swapping mags.
Aggressive Lounge extension though from Nears, and what this is also doing is denying a lot of space for KINOTROPE. Oh, I mean, that's the danger that you kind of play with though when you are aggressive with your army towards Lounge, especially when you're by yourself. No one really to help out. Nears dealt with.
Yeah, the groundwork here from KINOTROPE again has looked quite strong. Still a double Nitro in play for DPLUS, and as the time continues to tick down, those pieces of util will become more influential. Not the greatest smoke there onto the mirror. 60 seconds, and DPLUS Kia are playing quite conservative. Not that there's really a whole lot of maneuverability for them at this point of the round. KINOTROPE seemingly are shaping up for default. Diffuser in the hands of Akayu. He's still outside on the roof looking to drop late. Line scan to follow. One remains. 30 seconds for KINOTROPE.
Garada very late up White Stairs, but they haven't even needed him. Oh, and he's got the easiest kill ever onto Musi. What a strange old round. Flawless from KINOTROPE. Well, if you're Garada and you're thinking, boys, wait for me. And he doesn't even get a chance to get the free kill onto the gun barrel sticking out of Pixel. 2-0 start for KINOTROPE on the attack of Cafe. And they've done so in two different ways as well. The fast hit reading Fireplace, the more slower approach as well. As KINOTROPE have actually called a timeout themselves.
Interesting.
A positive reinforcement tack timeout might be the play. You only get the one though.
Yeah, you get the one. You get to chat during the halftime break, so I guess it's a little more split these days. You can probably afford to be more liberal in your usage of it, so... Yeah. Certainly a little unusual, but I don't think it's a negative. It may be marked as a negative in retrospect if they encounter problems, say, in the second half, and it feels like they may need a momentum breaker and they don't have it available to them, but... Off to a good start, just looking to settle. A long way to still go in this map. It's very early days. I expect DPLUS Key to look a lot better in the second rotation when they've had visibility on these pushes and a better job in countering it. But it was broken apart pretty systematically here by KINOTROPE. Good start Lounge. The Azami thwarted. And then they kind of just kick it to gear. With a drop down Skylight. Isolating picks elsewhere. They had that threat. Bot White, which is what we tracked and ultimately wasn't even needed. So, a well-considered attack there from KINOTROPE, and DPLUS Kia have been shaken a little early here on Cafe.
I wonder if DPLUS is sitting back saying thank you very much for the free timeout, because we're 2-0 down on defense Cafe right now, and we could have probably used that little break. Now they go mining. As I said, it could look a little bit silly if DPLUS now got on a little bit of a run post timeout. And those are the kind of timeouts I'd love to get more information on. Those are the kind of timeouts where it's like, well, what did you guys really speak about? What were the reasons? Because naturally, if you're, you see a team 4-0 down and they call attack timeout, you've got a pretty good grasp on the reasons why and kind of what's being spoken about.
Here's posturing. Bakery. Oh, caught out.
Was that a drone? Did they know he was there, or was that just trying to pre-shoot the barricade?
Well, I mean, it had to have been info of some.
He's got it. He has to answer this call as well. Oh, he just catches it at the end, and he's going to be the target now. I just keep calling Niers and try and spam call him and try and flush him out and put pressure on him. He's 1 HP. He's forced to answer the call. So if you push him at the same time and he's answering the call, it's a free kill. This is a good opportunity for KINOTROPE if they can keep the pressure on him.
Yeah,
and you get rid of the Solus. That's
play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is huge.
Yeah, that's a massive win. And Agator's got his cross for now, although he has escaped VIP side. Midpoint of the round, KINOTROPE in a commanding position. It's going to hinge largely on the Dokkaebi being effective here. The Stolas should not have impact for the remainder of the round. If Niers gets a kill, it's a failure from KINOTROPE.
He calls Falls instead over towards Train. Glass is activated from Falls, sensing the pressure. He does eat the call. Gator does get the kill onto Niers. Didn't need to spam call him. Didn't over-invest utility. This leaves now the payloads available for Kawau to keep calling other members of DPLUS gear. Now onto Midi. He's actually, though, on the move, so he's just going to eat the call. Just under a minute remaining.
With Niers in the grave, the rest of the team can eat calls because he's able to sit cams. It's not a massive loss.
It's still damage. Falls, though, from the window. Headshot onto Gator.
Let's see here.
So far, KINOTROPE, though, this is where they've done their best work. These on-site fights, 30 seconds, doesn't really seem like it'll be an issue for them. 4v4. Low health Falls. Midi's taking a bit of damage as well. Falls, though, gets a freebie, seeing a back fireplace. Eclair pushes in through the doorway. Kayu's still down 3v3 as things are currently standing. Heading into the last 15 seconds. There's the pickup. Kayu back up. Now the advantage with KINOTROPE as fireplace plant is going. That Nitrocell well off the mark. No, it does connect as Kawau ran into it. He was away from it and ran into it, but he had no idea. Plant will be successful from Eclair. He's now back up and ready. Kayu low on health. Surely this is a round in which DPLUS can win. It seems like they will. Good play from down below for DPLUS Kia, and they will be on the board.
Yeah, they certainly will. It wasn't the most conventional round of defense for that particular site, and with Niers taking a huge chunk of damage early on the Solus, it felt like that could potentially unravel the rest of the defense, especially with the Dokkaebi available, who was successful in damaging several defenders. And with the Solus taken then out of play for the late round, I thought that maybe that would take away the Vert threat, but that was not the case. A massive Nitro down below, even a pick through the Vert as KINOTROPE tried to scramble. It was a little all over the place from both teams in that round, but DPLUS Kia are able to thrive in the chaos.
Well, the longer this game goes on, the more I think we might eventually at some point call back to that tactical timeout taken from KINOTROPE. And it started so well. They almost got the free kill onto Niers. They eventually dealt with him pretty decently early into the round. And it took a bit of a aggressive swing from Falls at the window. That's just so unfortunate when you essentially just run into the Nitrocell. You hear it get ripped. You hear it get thrown. You imagine at that point it's at you. But funnily enough, if he actually had stayed still, he was fine. But these are the kind of rounds that I expect in a matchup like this, close in a contest. The first two rounds from KINOTROPE actually were a little bit more dominant than I had expected from either of the two teams in this game. Back to Bar Cocktail, fourth round. And with DPLUS on the board now, this gives us a lifeline at this being the match of the day, rightfully so. DPLUS look back. That's better from them. No Mirror and no Ying. Banned out for the remainder of this first half.
Yeah, despite the Ying ban, Foal's still electing to jump onto the Warden for this round.
4 smokes on the board.
Yeah. Certainly not just the Ying that he is particularly effective against, Warden. What the KINOTROPE try and posture for then this time around? They decided not to take the Izami out for the lounge clear. They effectively dealt with it last time, and DPLUS Kia reacting to that accordingly and decide not to bring the Izami full stop here for the reattempt. Nears in a far more compromised position now. It's the shotgun up close. But such a lack of coverage here. If KINOTROPE get a read onto his position and Nears doesn't get support, he's gonna get caught out. Yep, there we go. Nears struggling in lounge, 1 and 4 so far.
Yeah, 3rd straight opening death for Nears. So at some point you've got to speak to him and just tell him to probably change things up a little bit. And it's the team strategy. He's there for a reason. That's all part of the plan, but clearly it's not working. It's 4 straight opening kills for KINOTROPE and 3 straight opening deaths for Nears. They got to change something in that department.
The Valk information here could be certainly to the benefit of DPLUS Kia, but also could be valuable for the attack if Gatarada can hack those obs tools. 60 seconds on the clock. Pixel still held. Good double stack over towards Woodstack. DPLUS Kia not in the worst position here, but oh, that's a big pick. And KINOTROPE now certainly in a position to confirm this round and go up 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, clearing out Pixel there is huge because it gives them that lounge space. Now they can start to push towards the site. Falls takes a bit of damage. He's eating the call as well. No cams. Another call on the midi. At the moment, it doesn't look like he's going to look to answer the call. Certainly can't now with the pressure from Gatarada. So that's just more free damage onto midi. And that's also auditory information acquired. They know there's one over towards Stacks. They know there's one also Cocktail. So it's a 4v2 and you have info on both these players. Barbed wire being broken, so midi gets aggressive, but Gatarada already knew that he was there. That's from the earlier info. KINOTROPE get a 3rd attacking round. Very good round from them. But the rounds right now, Guz, are somewhat being predetermined by what's happening with Nears at the start of these rounds. 3 straight, he's been the opening death. 4 straight, KINOTROPE have had the advantage. At some point, that just becomes a little bit too much to deal with time and time again. DPLUS have got to be a little bit better defensively early in these rounds.
Yeah, I think it's probably at this point where they need to make a pretty decisive call. It's either Nears, let's roll swap, let's get you on something else so you can have impact elsewhere, or that they need to double down and actually be more supportive, because in a lot of these instances he's playing a very isolated position on the map. No one's there to either, again, support and help him so that he doesn't fall, or at the very least trade him out. They're basically leaving him to go for solo hero plays, and if you're on, you're on. If you're not, you're not. And sometimes, just on the day, you're not going to be primed to be, you know, finding the kill or 2 needed every single time completely solo. And that's being demonstrated very early on here. So good test of DPLUS Kia as a team, but also Nears. How do they try to react to that and pivot? And we'll see here on Kitchen. He jumps onto the Clash. May have already been predetermined. We haven't seen this site yet today, so we don't really have a point of reference. But it should be the kind of operator, the kind of role where he can take a bit of a backward step, not worry so much about taking fights, and instead can try and get info for the team.
Well, it's his 5th different operator, so he hasn't had a lot of consistency either. And those operators have been pretty different. Yeah, Solus, Izami play pretty differently. The smoke, the mute, the clash. It's not all on him though. And Musi hasn't even found a kill in this game. 0 and 3.
Keeper deployed. Come at me. Impact out.
3 acquired though for KINOTROPE. 3 attacking rounds is already pretty good. So they're in a really good position now to close this half out with confidence. Already called their tactical timeout. Oh, Fall's trying to fall back. Near's actually blocking him. Fortunate that there wasn't really any pressure there on the Falls. Niz will take over towards Bakery. Actually, a pretty heavy emphasis on this Bakery side defense from DPLUS Kia. This is going to allow top floor down for KINOTROPE with the buck to get to work with the skeleton key. Atrocell doesn't connect. It's the only one that they had available. Not a lot of active utility for the defense. 1 impact, 2 keeper barriers, the F not mines. Plus, of course, Nia's on the clash. Not a lot of on-site defensive utility either. Yeah, no Vulcan canisters, for example, that you have to deal with. Not a lot of slowdown. Don't have to deal with smoke and gas babes. If KINOTROPE find a pick early on, if they can deal with this clash early on, these are 2 big objectives for them. If they do that, they can flood the site pretty comfortably.
Yeah, looking to try and extract value on the vert, but it's horizontal split defense here from DPLUS. Foles, sharp shot through prep. Niaz is so low on HP, but can continue to provide value on the clash. 30 seconds remain. Advantage DPLUS Kia.
He's by himself now.
Yeah, there's an isolate opportunity here.
Claire should get this kill, and he does. That's Bakery control. Time running low. Gatorada's still trying to get some pressure from above. Does get some information. Mini gets the good kill onto Eclair. Needed that. Gatorada's going to have to go first floor now. 9 seconds left. No kit in hand. So far, so good for DPLUS. And closing this round out, it seems as if they're just going to hold their positions, let the time expire. Job done for DPLUS Kia. A second acquired here in the half.
Yeah, not giving away anything against the vert there. I think that was one of the big key takeaways. KINOTROPE arguably didn't respond well enough. Should have been given the call pretty early on there that the buck of Gatorada isn't finding much, and so it's time to start pressuring Bakery, make that clear a little more efficient. I think, as we get a pause call very, very late, I think if that call got relayed a little earlier, they actually would have been in a pretty good position to pivot, go for the clear. It was ultimately time that was the biggest problem. I think they had enough util and positionally did okay there to be on for the bake side hit and potential plant, but they were a little bit slow, and certainly the slowest we've seen from KINOTROPE so far, which is a little unfortunate for them. We return to the top floor.
Well, we'll get ourselves a little break in the action before we get that. Rehost is underway. So 2-3 scoreline in terms of how this game has played out so far. Has it kind of gone a little bit as expected? For me personally, I don't think so. I mean, I expected back and forth. 2-3 scoreline is close in nature. Now, both teams have had success in different areas. Obviously, in some of these earlier rounds, we've seen really good success from KINOTROPE, getting these early kills. They've been able to get the plant down as well in a couple of rounds. DPLUS have just been able to start to find a little bit more form in the more second half of this first half. It can close out strong here. 3-3 half, I think, puts this game into a pretty solid position. Midi has been their best so far, 5-4. He's got a 120 EPS because his cost is at 80%. On the flip side for KINOTROPE, it's been a really good game from Eclair. 7-2, 1-0 on the entry with a 100% cost, sitting at a 148 EPS. It's the kind of game, though, I just feel like it could get away from KINOTROPE the longer this goes on. DPLUS are the kind of team that don't mind a bit of a grind. You've already used your attack timeout as well. DPLUS still have theirs. And again, Cafe is not this defensive juggernaut that it used to be. But I do think they probably need this third round to put themselves in the best position.
No, I totally agree. I think as the game progresses, DPLUS Kia should age a little better and should be able to refine their gameplay and probably find a higher peak than KINOTROPE, who I think have probably still done enough at this point to have ticked the box of maintaining strong tempo and largely dictating how the match has played out so far. But it is very, very narrow margins at the moment. It's Still far too difficult to call which way it will go from here, and that last round was probably, in my mind, the weakest that we've seen so far from KINOTROPE. Time management on that kitchen site hit, especially with the information that they had afforded themselves, was simply far too slow. And they'll know that. We apologize for the rehost. Please bear with us. As you can see, the lobby is back up and the players will join, so should only be a few minutes away. Third floor to be the site of choice. And yeah, it's going to be a hard fought round. Closely contested is the expectation, given that both teams will sense a real opportunity here to set themselves up for the second half.
Well, it's either going to be it's either going to be a 4-2 lead for KINOTROPE going into defense, which sets them up, or it's going to be DPLUS making it 3 of the last 4 rounds after KINOTROPE called that early tactical timeout. Either way, the loser of this next round is not going to be happy.
Yeah. Look, I think that KINOTROPE will be pretty well suited to defense. DPLUS Kia typically play a very slow tempo, and KINOTROPE, I think, will be the kind of team that are going to try and force them to speed up, or at the very least disrupt and take a lot of early fights that will either slow them down even further and make the clock more influential, or sort of maybe put DPLUS Kia in a conundrum where they need to think about changing their tempo in the matchup. And again, that's a good test, I think, for them to see if they have what it takes to make those changes on the fly. But they probably go into the match with that kind of expectation anyway, so...
Well, I've got a fun stat for you.
Intriguing as well.
DPLUS Kia in the 3 matches before this stage have not had a game where they've had more defensive round wins than attacking round wins.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, it just means going into their attacking half on Cafe. Clearly, they've been a very good attacking team this stage, so much so that in all of their matches, they've gotten more attacking rounds than they got defensive rounds. Of course, only losing the one game, that being to CAG. So that was that was on Lair. They got 2 defensive rounds, 3 attacking rounds on Lair. Against, obviously, Triple Main Telecom, they got 6 straight attacking rounds on Border. So then, therefore, only got the 1 defensive round. And then against Scars yesterday, 4 attacking rounds on Border, 3 defensive rounds. So, I mean, I'm nitpicking a little bit because you're looking at 2 games of Border, one of those being a 7-0. But it is an intriguing little stat considering where this game currently sits. 2-3 scoreline. DPLUS will go attack after this. And again, Cafe is not really this ultra defensive juggernaut. I think there are going to be opportunities for DPLUS in the second half on their attack. The question will be, if it's at 3-3, that's pretty good. There's room for error. If it's 4-2, you're going to have to be pretty snappy.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Well, let's load back into the server to top floor. We return in a round that could be influential as to how both teams set up for the second half. I like the lineup here from KINOTROPE, directly countering particularly the Echo here from DK. Both the Brava, the Dockerby, and by extension the IQ as well. Hopefully, for their sake, going to make Nia's life very difficult. And to the credit of DPLUS Kia and Nia's as well, they've made a very decisive decision to jump him back on more supportive operators. The Clash, the Echo, his roams earlier were largely, essentially, completely ineffective. They were shot down really well by KINOTROPE, so they've made a conscious choice to free him up onto more anchor-friendly operators, and we'll see how that shapes up as well.
Early call from Gatorada. Midi just decides to eat it to avoid any further pressure. You might want to know why. Well, playing the Solus, he doesn't want to, of course, have to deal with this later in the round when he may potentially look to push down second floor. Just gives him the ability now to kind of roam around without the pressure of the Dockerby, despite being in cocktail and safe and could have answered the call. He knew that those calls were going to keep coming. He opts to eat it. The others most likely will look to answer those calls, although that's a wonderful play on the falls. That's what you could do with Dockerby. Gator Combo on the IQ. Gets the opening kill for KINOTROPE.
There could even be more to follow here. Payload onto the mute. Gator continues to pepper from down below, and it's very difficult now for DPLUS Kia to invest somebody to go down below and contest, but they do either way. It's MIDI. Takes a chunk of damage, half HP. Forced back up white stairs. A good play there from KINOTROPE. 50 seconds. Final call, as you say. MIDI, though, elsewhere. Aggressors jump out white. Does he get caught? Yes. Advantage KINOTROPE, 4-2.
And they lost Levy just off that as well. So now KINOTROPE in a really good position. It's only down to Musi over towards Freezer, pushing out into backstore towards Bar. One ahead of him, but it's shot in the back from Kawau. KINOTROPE Gaming, with an attacking masterclass on Cafe, take a 4-2 lead into the half. Now we're going crazy here on Cafe. 4-2 lead for KINOTROPE. They're 3 rounds away from knocking off DPLUS Kia, who of course are going to want to have something to say about it. They do still have attack time up their sleeves. KINOTROPE don't. They used it early, but so far it's paid off.
Yeah, it certainly has. It was a pretty decisive call to make so early in that first half, and it, well, ironically didn't lead to an immediate conversion, but they're able to stabilize towards the tail end, and their attacks overall looked, yeah, pretty solid. Not too much to complain about. DPLUS Kia, to their credit, did make some pretty big changes, specifically around Nears, who was struggling at the early portion of that half, and somewhat worked, somewhat didn't. Here's a replay package of that final round of the half. The IQ and the Dokkaebi combo was deadly. Those on site not really standing much of a chance, facing that onslaught of the attack. As we prepare for the second half, it's dining up first. Castle Maestro Ying Lion band out.
Near straight away onto the Nook, MIDI onto the Solid Snake, falls on the Dokkaebi. Talking about early aggression here for DPLUS Kia.
10 seconds remaining.
Reading Fireplace offers that potential. Oh, never mind. It's just going to be a full switch, literally on the only 3 operators that I mentioned. Oh, this is cheeky. Oh, Nears hits the shot first, though, onto a Gator.
He's back. He wasn't hitting that in the first half. That's nice. That's really good from him. Sharp shot.
Oh, another attempt, though, from Kawau. And Leclerc, is he thinking about doing something special too? Holds back, goes back towards Stacks. Okay, DPLUS with the opening pick. Just their second so far in this match. It feels timely. And though the way that KINOTROPE are kind of positioning right now, they seem eager to get one back.
Yeah, they do, but not really given that opportunity. Forced to now play a little passive and reassess the situation. That's good tempo management from DPLUS Kia in the round to sort of identify that and make sure they don't forfeit the advantage that Nears has afforded them too early into the round. Both the Valkyrie and the Echo in play. And we'll see if that's a difference maker. Nitro onto Levy. Does a chunk of damage, but he survives for now.
Caillou, by the way, playing down below in VIP. Actually, all the way into Freezer. Might look to play off his Yokais. Has one in Lounge. It might just spot out that Levy's still over towards that top side of the map, just pushing down red stairs. A lot of time remaining in this round because DPLUS Kia took a bit of time to assess after they got that opening kill. It's a retake up above here from Kawau. Levy's still red stairs. Needs to be careful if Kawau keeps pushing for the sweep across on the top floor. As Gatorada holds pillar, he makes his move. There is one up close. Nears taken down a 1 HP inside a train. Musi trying to spot up above, finds the kill and the second onto Gatorada playing towards pillars. DPLUS Kia have unlocked this round in that moment. Swift kills sees them lead 4 versus 1.
And just the Echo left standing, and with his position now known, this round is over. Barring a miracle play.
It depends if he can win this, potentially with the Yokai. Does get the kill. Can he get back onto his Yokai to deny this plant? Knows that Falls is planting. The right side, can he stop this? He can't stop it. But he spots another one in the hallway. Levy's down 1 versus 1 for a Caillou. But he just turns the corner too haphazardly. Oh my word, that was almost, I think, the clutch of the stage if he had pulled it off.
Yeah, it would have been clutch of the stage and equally throw of the stage. DPLUS Kia, guys. Maybe the Monty didn't spot him down below, but that's what I thought happened. The Monty spotted through Freezer Hatch. The call should have been relayed, but seemingly they just did not expect him to come up white. And the plant coverage, despite it being a 4 versus 1, was also not in the correct position. That got messy towards the end.
That would have been
DPLUS Kia.
He would have played that differently
if
he had have denied the plan. How much time was on
what's
the clock?
going on here? What is MIDI
7
looking
seconds, 6 seconds. So it would have been 6 seconds left.
Yeah, that was.
And here there would have been about, I mean, time would have been, well, I mean, to be fair, Musi would have had to push. So, I mean, it might not, you know, we don't know what would have happened. Musi would have pushed if the plan hadn't have been converted.
Yeah, that was.
But still, wow.
That probably goes down as the craziest end to a round that I've witnessed or casted so far on this stage. That was crazy.
So,
no world in which that should have been possible.
To summarize that round, we had the very early 2-minute 55 seconds spawn peak reversal kill. So Nears killing the spawn peaking Ayagator. We got the plant. We got 2 multi-kills, one from Musi, one from Caillou, and then of course a clutch 1v1 for Musi. So every statistical category was checked out except for a counter defuse. That was the only thing missing. Crazy round, full of action, 3-4 scoreline, much needed for DPLUS Kia, otherwise 2-5, and you're staring down the barrel of a disappointing defeat. Game on. Match of the day is not disappointing so far. After our earlier matches were 7-1, 7-1, 7-3, this one now sits at 4-3. Game on a knife's edge. The 2 teams at the top of the standings. Win this, top 2 looks, I don't want to say a certainty, Guz, but very likely. This is a big match.
Certainly so, and it's really beginning to heat up here. See the Echo in play again here for KINOTROPE. That's one taken down. Akaya looking for some proactive information up through the skylight. Midi on the Solid Snake this round, a threat as he has snuck into second floor. Gator currently on second floor also. A potential engagement between those two to follow. There's a bit of peppering in towards sight here from DPLUS Kia. Muzi needs to be so cautious at the close angle. He gets caught out, but despite that, still wins the duel.
As Leclerc goes down, that's the best performing player for KINOTROPE so far this match, who is 8-4, now 8-5. DPLUS starting to just actually turn things around in these opening kills. Lost the first 4 straight. Since then, 3 of the next 4 have gone their way, so they're getting earlier advantages. Trade though by Akayu, even if it's delayed, it brings it back to 4v4. With Niers' death, no more Capital utility, but there goes Gatorada struggling to have an impact in this game. Square falls, another advantage again for DPLUS Kia. The attacks on Cafe for both these teams have been pretty strong so far. Deathmark onto Akayu, but he, despite the Deathmark, finds the kill onto Levy. 30 seconds here, even though DPLUS have the advantage, may not last for much longer. Akayu is just devastating them. He's got 4, looking for the ace against Mitty. Almost from clutch of the year to an ace. Oh my word. You won't see a better 2 rounds from an individual for the rest of this stage. Akayu clutches up for KINOTROPE. This time, he converts.
And KINOTROPE are far too respectful. I think if any other team had those 2 back-to-back rounds, they would be spamming the question marks in the chat. And they got away with it last time, DPLUS Kia, but this time out, not so fortunate. Fortunately, though, for them, they do have that tactical timeout available. And the next 30 seconds or so, critical for this matchup. Not even just from a tactical standpoint, but I think just being able to settle the team, refocus, and put that round behind them. It's been a nervy start to these attacks. And as KINOTROPE tighten their grip on defense, we need to see DPLUS Kia minimize these mistakes.
DPLUS having got a single player with more than 6 kills. And on the side of KINOTROPE, you've got Akayu now up to 12.
It's been insane.
And how many did you get in the previous round? I think it was 3. So he's gotten 8 kills in 2 rounds. Reminder for those just joining, we did have a rehost, so we did lose a lot of the numbers from the earlier portion of the match. As you can clearly see, though, since the rehost, 10-2 for Akayu. And I think you kind of like... I don't know. Soaking it all in. Why not? He's on a heater, and they put him on the Clash. I mean, the Clash is not like it used to be. Certainly can be aggressive with the Clash. Chill down, SMG strong. 5-3 lead as KINOTROPE are 2 rounds away from a big win.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
I was right to keep an eye on you.
Well, the onus is more than truly on DPLUS Kia at the moment here to stabilize this matchup. And we'll see what their resilience is like, because it's been a testing best of 1. And whilst maybe in a best of 3 format later to follow, they'd have a greater opportunity to recover. It's best of 1s for everyone at the moment, fighting for that top 4 position and the seeding within that. So we'll see if they can correct course. An intriguing lineup here from this attack of DPLUS.
Well, this is like the lineup they hovered earlier and then switched off it. Now they go and say, okay, let's lock it in. Dockerbeat, Deimos, very oppressive. You've got the Glaz as its own kind of win con, and plenty of smokes to utilize. 6 smokes available. So to me, you want to play and put a lot of your eggs into that Glaz basket. Get a lot of pressure as well from the Dockerbeat. Then you got Niers, throw him into the mix. He can just lurk on the Nook, try and find entry. Falls on the Blitz can help facilitate for Levy, create a bit of space. It's a good-looking lineup, an aggressive lineup. Now, KINOTROPE are going to need to be ready, and it's a really good round, in my opinion, to bring this clash, and they don't even know it.
Now the Nitro from Agator won't find its mark. They go searching for information outside Bakery here, so I think KINOTROPE at this point have a pretty good read that something's a little fishy in this round.
I think he's dead here. Oh, he has turned back around. He's going to get a little bit of auditory information, but if Force plays this right, you don't over-aggress. You're just trying to find out where he is. Oh, I thought he was going to flick Levy, but he then just kind of flicked back over to Falls. And even though the opening kill went the way of DPLUS Kia, they do lose Nears, and he's 1v1 on the Nook. So it ends up where it all started, but now with less time on the clock.
40 seconds then on the clock. It's still a strong position for KINOTROPE. And with Eclair finding that kill, DPLUS Kia need to fight like hell for the remainder of the round.
Well, they haven't played into the glass at all. They haven't really layered the smokes. They haven't given Levy too many opportunities to try and find picks into sight. There's only the two spot. I mean, Falls, you got 20 seconds. Throw these smokes out, push in. Hope that Levy can find a pick or two. Still going to deal with the Kayu, though. Over towards Cooking with the Clash shield up as well. No more gas babes remaining from Koal. Into red time we go. Still haven't found a pick with this Glaz. There's just no one presenting. And then up close, it's a Koal headshot onto the Glaz. Only Falls, no time. KINOTROPE have got match point against DPLUS Kia.
Wow. DPLUS Kia capitulating under the pressure at the moment. And KINOTROPE playing with freedom and literally smiles on their face. The body language from them over the course of this match as well has looked very positive. Some gloom faces on the opposing side of DPLUS Kia at the moment, who are sensing that they've been outmatched today so far.
They're just out of answers at the moment. That was the kind of trump card, bring a bit more aggression. I just don't think they played the Glaz well enough. They lose the 1v1 Nook battle. Didn't probably get as much pressure out of the Deimos. Didn't really see a whole lot of death marks that helped to aid anything. Three of the last 4 rounds now to KINOTROPE Gaming.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
3 match point opportunities.
Yeah, I genuinely expected DPLUS Kia to look a little more refined over the course of this match as it progressed, but it hasn't quite been the case. KINOTROPE have had the early jump for the large portion of these first initial rotations. They won 2 of the first 3 rounds in the first half and replicate that here in the second half. DPLUS Kia just not quite having the ability off the rip on the first appearance of these sites on their respective defenses, now into attacks, not quite having what it takes to produce consistent results, and it's ultimately led to this potential blowout scoreline. A 7-3 I think would be
for this
maybe
matchup,
not quite a blowout in the traditional sense, but yeah, for this style.
But it's on the edge of it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like 7-2 in blue is a blowout, so 7-3 is not much better.
No, certainly for a matchup that should be like in the realms of an OT, it's a hard one to split in terms of the winner, but it should certainly be at least 12 rounds, and it looks unlikely at the moment unless DPLUS Kia can lock back in here. Reading Fireplace, the site, they were successful last time out here.
Saving grace for DPLUS Kia. The next 2 opponents, Can You Be My Enemy and RRX. Next week, a bounce back week you would imagine for them. And closing the stage then the week after against VRX. Tell you what, you kind of look at this region, guys, and there's 4 playoff spots right now coming into tonight with CRG, DPLUS, KINOTROPE, VRX. Outside of it, Trippy and Scars. How do Scars get themselves into that top 4?
And he jumps out
Either way, Flames over towards White. Levy's not going to jump out. He's just going to eat the Flames. Takes a chunk of damage. And it's Nears again that goes down first. Old habits die hard for Nears. It's his 4th opening death. And as Levy and Falls go down, it's KINOTROPE that are putting the foot onto that pedal. 5 versus 2. And while a 7-3 scoreline is not a full blowout, the way this match is closing out is certainly in the realms of that conversation. This has ended up being quite one-sided.
Yeah, last-ditch attempt with an entry over towards White. 60 seconds, so time for DK, but not much in the way of manpower. Position now also known, and KINOTROPE can look to consolidate at least one spotted wood stacks. Probably anticipating 2. Claire gives away a freebie. One isolated freezer, but Akayu wins that.
Needed that one. Poor old Musi now by himself. Needs to pull off an Akayu and get a big clutch. 1v4, 40 seconds. Flash thrown in towards Freezer. Barricade, a little bit of a nuisance. Doesn't even have the kit. That's stuck over towards Backstore, and it's Gatorada to end it all with the impact as KINOTROPE pull off a huge win. 7-3 against DPLUS Kia. Not only did they get all 3 points, but they improved their round differential and hindered DPLUS's. KINOTROPE are up into 2nd place on the standings halfway through the stage. They're looking pretty good.
And they continue that run towards CAG, trying to knock them off top spot here in APAC North, and the victory today goes a long way towards potentially achieving that goal. By far the better of the 2 teams on the day. And whilst the result certainly wasn't a massive upset or a massive unexpected win, the fashion in which they did it and the end scoreline certainly was, in my opinion. I truly expected this to be at least 7-4, probably 7-5, if not OT. But KINOTROPE were just dominant in the way that they were able to shut DPLUS Kia out of this match, and ultimately a strong result in the end.
Those 2 rounds from Akayu, which one of those they ended up still losing anyway, I felt like changed a little bit of the course of the game. Like that almost clutch on reading Fireplace, even though they lost that round, it was like, I think that might have put a little dent into the minds of DPLUS Kia. Then the actual ace clutch in the next round, I think, solidified it. And from there, they just didn't lose out. 14-5 from Akayu, really dominant, 80% cost, 154 EPS. And you know what the best thing about this result as well, guys, is for KINOTROPE Gaming, we will get to speak to Okamesh and kind of ask about the early 2-round lead tactical timeout and get thoughts on that, which I'm excited about personally. But for KINOTROPE Gaming, I mean, this is a team that has been around for a while, never really one that's been able to contest with the real big boys. They're usually that middle of the pack, better than the rest, but not quite in contention for the likes of the international events. This could be the coming of age stage for them.
Yeah, it could be their moment. It could be their opportunity, but it is still just best of 1. So I think for them, it's all about building up into the best of 3s.
All right, we got Okamesh on the line for an interview with us after the win. Congratulations on the win, Okamesh. Happy days. I do have to ask, though, we were a little bit confused. 2nd round, tactical timeout. You guys were leading 2-0. Talk us through that timeout.
Okay. I talk about picking Brava because they spamming using Aruni and then Mercy. Then I gather like 8,000. And statistically, Brava is winning against Merusi and Aruni. So, like Brava has big like 57 win rate against these operators. So I asked them to pick Brava, and then looks like it's working. No, right? So that's why
it certainly did. You guys played really, really well today. Congratulations. I sort of want to ask a little bit about where you guys think you are right now. CAG is just above you on the standings, and there's only the 1 slot for this stage. Do you feel like you're really close to CAG right now, or maybe even better at the moment?
I'm not gonna say, like, as a team, we really wanna qualify for the EWC, of course, but I don't wanna like be so hard on Cyclops. We need to be more friendly as a Japanese team. Then we both make more stronger. Like as a, it's hard to say, but like we need to make stronger each other. We need to train each other through the league. So, of course, we really wanna beat Cyclops, CAG, but both like as a team, I wanna beat CAG, but as a friend, I wanna like go Japan Major together, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we
Yeah,
need to
I
get
get
the
that.
2 slot on the Japan Major. It's not gonna happen? Maybe? I don't know, but like, yeah, that's what I think now. So
Well, totally get where you're going with that one, Okamesh, 100%. I do want to ask, for KINOTROPE Gaming, I will say over the last couple of years, from my perspective, it feels like it's always been sort of middle of the pack. Not quite maybe contesting with the top teams, but maybe not then, but then being much better than the ones below you guys. What do you think has been different this stage? What's changed that you're now actually beating these top teams in the region and have become a top team in the region?
I want to say one funny thing. I have been kicked from KINOTROPE in 2024, in like end of the 2024, and then 2025 shoot result, and I came back as a coach, and then I think I am good strategist. I think.
Well, it's
I'm sorry.
so far this stage, you guys are obviously playing really well, and maybe Okamesh, you've been a big part of that. So I'm hoping for your sake and for your team's sake, the good times can keep rolling. Best of luck with the rest of the stage, and congratulations again on the win against DPLUS.
Thanks so much.
Oh, a wonderful, happy man after a win, and rightfully so. 7-3
Yeah.
over DPLUS, and you know, they're a top team. That's a good result, and they're firmly in that conversation, in that picture now, guys. They're sitting second after 4 play days. They've knocked off DPLUS Kia. You kind of look at some of their other results. They beat Scars earlier back in play day 1. Really, the one blemish was that 5-7 loss versus Fear X. And that was back in play day 2. So a bit of time since then has transpired. They play RRX, then they play Trippy, and then, of course, the big one, CAG, play day 7. Our MVP for the day is ready. I had a little bit of a say in this one. It should end up being Caillou after that big 2-round performance. But overall, he still played really well outside of those 2 rounds, guys. But he ended up with 14 kills, 5 dares. So of those 14 kills, 8 of those came in the 2 rounds, rounds 7 and 8. The near clutch, this is it right here. 1v4, 12 seconds on the clock, and then eventually almost denies the plant, doesn't get it, gets it down to a 1v1. Unfortunately, here, he had 1 bullet left, so he did reload, but he reloaded and ran over the corner, and then he gets the ace in the next round.
Yeah, he was absolutely goated on the Echo, and I don't know if it's too far-fetched to say, but it really feels like round 7 unsettled DPLUS Kia, and that round there chalked them. From that point onwards, we could see quite visibly the body language from DPLUS Kia. It looked quite negative. It looked quite shut down from that point. But on the flip side, KINOTROPE looked like they were fighting for an SI Go final. They were absolutely pumped and ready to go, and I think that really helped their confidence going forward. And so, look, that positive mindset for them is good, and Okamesh as well in the interview giving some good insight that as much as they love to beat CAG, there's a friendly rivalry and a willingness to try and push each other to improve. And even more so than that was the point that the 2 slots, it's not going to be with OS forever. It is fluid, and if they can actually continue to improve and then beat out OS internationally, there's every world in which APAC North in future could then retain 2 slots. So it is really important that these teams continue to push each other, especially in the 1-slot regions, because it's not going to be 2 in OS forever.
Yeah, just like the way that for Asia, it didn't last too long for them. And who knows what's going to happen in future. Let's recap the schedule for today. So we started off with 2 whitewashes, 7-1, 7-1, Scars and CAG, too good for their opposition. And then 7-3, 7-3. Didn't get much better. Fear X actually got a little bit stunned early on in that game, guys. They were down 1-3. Then they were able to win 6 straight to close it out. KINOTROPE DPLUS, the labeled match of the day, was a really good match, but still a one-sided result. Leads us to this standing position after 4 play days. CAG still undefeated. KINOTROPE up into second. And with that loss, temporarily, DPLUS are out of playoff position. But as I said earlier, they've got a pretty comfortable schedule ahead.
Yeah, certainly, but they've put themselves in a compromised position where they can't afford to have a really off day, lose points to a lesser team, because then they're at a very, very serious threat of not making the top 4. And even from here, it's unlikely that they're going to get a good seed heading into the playoff bracket as well. So DPLUS Kia's run is severely compromised. at the moment. And the,
I mean,
the top
who
four
misses
is,
out from those top
yeah,
five?
the top four isn't concrete. That was going to be my final point. Sure, DPLUS may have favorable fixturing, but with the ups and downs we've seen from them this stage, who really knows how it shapes up? I think it's going to be a pretty bitter battle between them and Scars. The top three, CEG, KINOTROPE, FearX, I think at this point are pretty safe. I'd be pretty surprised if one of those three drop, but for the other two, it's going to be really, really close.
Well, the big thing is, and this is for the future broadcasts that we're going to have, in terms of the standings that we just had, FearX still have to play Scars and DPLUS. So it's going to be those kind of games that are going to ultimately determine who makes top four. Win those, you're through. Lose those, you're probably out based on what we've had so far. What a day, though. A pretty one-sided day, but certainly the last game, even though it ended up as 7-3, guys, it was certainly very, very entertaining. APAC North, as always, very much a strong region. South America League starting in a couple of hours time as well, so always plenty of siege action.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I can't wait for APL to resume next week, but APAC North specifically, man, I'm riding that KINOTROPE hype train, and I think that these one-slot regions in particular have honestly been just as exciting as the two-slot for different reasons. So very excited as we kind of cross the midpoint, and yeah, it's starting to get really, really intense for these top four slots across all of the APL sub-regions.
Well, evidently, I've got to go unpack a house behind me as I've just moved into my new place. So it's time to close the show because I got more work to do. But thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.